Her days are filled with meetings, decisions, and deals worth millions. At night, she returns to an empty, meticulously designed apartment that feels more like a showroom than a home. The luxury that once thrilled her now feels suffocating, a constant reminder of the distance between her and the life she truly desires. Isabella craves something real, something untainted by wealth or ambition. One evening, after yet another superficial social event, Isabella sits in her lavish living room, feeling more alone than ever. She sips a glass of expensive wine, barely tasting it, and realizes that she can no longer ignore the dissatisfaction gnawing at her soul. The thought of living like this for another year, another decade, terrifies her. She remembers a time when she was younger, before the business took over her life, when she dreamed of love, real love, not the shallow, opportunistic relationships she's known. That night, Isabella makes a decision. She knows that if she wants to find true love, she needs to step away from the world she's built. She needs to go somewhere where people don't know her, where her wealth and status don't define her. She needs to find a place where she can be herself, where someone might love her for who she is, not what she has. Isabella spends the next few weeks preparing for her departure. She arranges for her business to be managed by trusted associates and closes out her social calendar. She buys a small cottage in a remote village called Willow Creek, a place far removed from the city's hustle and bustle. She plans to live simply, to blend in with the villagers, and to find out if true love really exists beyond the world of wealth and power. As she packs her bags, leaving behind designer clothes and expensive jewelry, Isabella feels a mix of fear and excitement. She's stepping into the unknown, but for the first time in years, she feels like she's taking control of her life, rather than being controlled by it. Isabella Reed, the millionaire businesswoman, is about to become Anna Smith, an ordinary woman in search of love. She makes her way to the cottage she purchased under her new identity. It's small and cozy, with a garden out front and a view of the rolling hills that surround the village. The cottage is far from the luxury she's used to, but Isabella finds herself charmed by its simplicity. She spends the first few days settling in, unpacking the few belongings she brought with her and familiarizing herself with her new surroundings. Isabella quickly realizes that life in Willow Creek is nothing like life in the city. There are no high-powered meetings, no social events to attend, no demands on her time or energy. Instead, her days are filled with simple pleasures. Morning walks through the village, trips to the local market, and quiet evenings spent reading by the fire. She's surprised by how much she enjoys this slower pace of life. The constant stress and pressure she felt in the city seemed to melt away, leaving her feeling more at peace than she has in years. As she settles into her new life, Isabella begins to meet the villagers. There's Mrs. Thompson, the friendly baker who always has a kind word and a fresh loaf of bread. Sophie, the young woman who runs the local flower shop and quickly becomes a close friend. And Tom, the handsome, hardworking farmer who lives on the outskirts of the village. Isabella is careful to keep her true identity hidden, introducing herself as Anna Smith, a woman looking for a fresh start in a quiet place. Living as Anna, Isabella begins to immerse herself in the community. She volunteers at the local school, helps out at the village fair, and even starts a small vegetable garden in her yard. The villagers welcome her with open arms, and Isabella starts to feel like she's found a place where she truly belongs. However, maintaining her new identity isn't as easy as she thought it would be. Isabella is constantly on guard, afraid that someone will discover her secret. She has to be careful about what she says, avoiding any mention of her past life or the wealth she left behind. It's a delicate balancing act, and Isabella finds herself feeling more isolated than ever, even as she makes new friends. One person in particular catches Isabella's attention, Tom, the farmer. He's kind, honest, and hardworking, with a quiet strength that draws her to him. They start spending more time together, and Isabella finds herself falling for him. But the closer she gets to Tom, the more she worries about what will happen if he finds out the truth about her. She knows she can't keep her secret forever, but she's not ready to give up the life she started to build in Willow Creek. As the days go by, Isabella struggles with her growing feelings for Tom and the weight of the secret she's keeping. She's finally found a place where she feels at home, but the fear of losing it all looms over her. For now, she decides to keep her secret, hoping that she can find a way to make this new life work without losing the man she's starting to care for. The more time Isabella spends with Tom, the more she realizes that her feelings for him are deeper than she expected. He's different from anyone she's ever known, grounded, honest, and completely unpretentious. Tom doesn't care about wealth or status. He values hard work, integrity, and kindness. It's these qualities that draw Isabella to him, making her wish that she could be completely honest with him. But every time she thinks about telling Tom the truth, fear grips her. She's terrified that he'll see her differently if he knows who she really is, that he'll feel betrayed and walk away. The thought of losing Tom is unbearable, so Isabella keeps her secret, even as it becomes harder to maintain. Tom, meanwhile, begins to open up to Isabella in ways he hasn't with anyone else. He shares stories from his childhood, his dreams for the future, and the challenges he's faced on the farm. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, Tom confides in Isabella about the loss of his parents and how it shaped him into the man he is today. He talks about the loneliness he's felt, running the farm on his own, and how meeting Isabella has brought light back into his life. Isabella is deeply moved by Tom's vulnerability. She realizes just how much she cares for him, not just as a friend, but as someone she could truly love. But with this realization comes an even greater fear. How can she build a future with Tom when it's all based on a lie? The internal conflict tears at Isabella. She's finally found someone who might love her for who she is, but she's not sure if she deserves that love when she's hiding such a big part of herself. Isabella starts to withdraw slightly, afraid that the closer she gets to Tom, the harder it will be to maintain the lie. One night, as they're sitting together under the stars, Tom reaches for her hand. He tells her that he's never met anyone like her, that she's brought something special into his life that he didn't even know was missing. Isabella's heart swells with emotion, but she can't shake the guilt that's gnawing at her. She knows she needs to come clean, but she's paralyzed by the fear of losing everything she's come to cherish in Willow Creek. As the chapter ends, Isabella is left in a state of emotional turmoil. She's caught between her growing love for Tom and the secret that could destroy everything. She knows that she can't keep lying to him, but she's not sure if she has the courage to tell the truth. The stakes have never been higher, and Isabella is faced with a choice that will determine the course of her future. Her relationship with Tom is also becoming more complicated. They've grown closer than ever, and Tom has started talking about a future together. He's mentioned expanding the farm, maybe even starting a family someday, and each time he does, Isabella's heart breaks a little more. She wants that future with him more than anything, but she knows it's built on a foundation of lies. One day, Isabella is at the village market when she overhears two women talking about her. They're speculating about her past, wondering why someone like her, a stranger with no apparent ties to the village, would choose to settle in Willow Creek. Isabella's stomach drops as she realizes that the villagers are starting to piece together that something isn't quite right. That evening, she confides in Sophie, her closest friend in the village, about her fears. Without revealing the full truth, Isabella admits that she's not who everyone thinks she is, and that she's terrified of what will happen if the truth comes out. Sophie, sensing Isabella's distress, offers her support, but gently encourages her to be honest with Tom. She tells Isabella that real love can only thrive in the light of truth, and that keeping secrets will only lead to heartache. Isabella knows Sophie is right, but she's still paralyzed by fear. She decides to wait, hoping that she can figure out a way to reveal the truth without losing Tom and the life she's built in Willow Creek. But fate has other plans. A few days later, while Isabella is at home, there's a knock at her door. She opens it to find an unexpected visitor, Andrew, a former business associate from the city who knows her true identity. Isabella's blood runs cold as she realizes that her past has finally caught up with her. Andrew, who's in the village on business, is shocked to see Isabella living as a humble villager. He wastes no time in confronting her, demanding to know what she's doing in a place like Willow Creek. Isabella tries to brush him off, but Andrew is persistent, threatening to expose her secret if she doesn't explain herself. Panicked, Isabella begs Andrew to keep quiet, explaining that she's trying to find a new life, one that isn't defined by her wealth or her past. But Andrew is skeptical and intrigued. He's always known Isabella as a tough, ambitious businesswoman, and seeing her in this new light both puzzles and amuses him. He agrees to keep her secret for now, but warns her that it won't stay hidden forever. Shaken by the encounter, Isabella realizes that she's running out of time. The walls are closing in, and she knows that it's only a matter of time before everything unravels. She considers leaving Willow Creek and starting over somewhere else, but the thought of leaving Tom and the life she's come to love is too painful to bear. As the chapter ends, Isabella is left with a sense of impending doom. Her carefully constructed life is beginning to crumble, and she knows that she can't keep the truth hidden much longer. The question now is whether she'll have the courage to face the consequences of her deception, or if she'll lose everything she's come to cherish in Willow Creek. It doesn't take long for the truth to come out. One by one, the villagers start piecing together the inconsistencies in Isabella's story. The news spreads like wildfire. Anna Smith, the humble newcomer, is actually Isabella Reed, a wealthy businesswoman from the city. The villagers feel betrayed, hurt that someone they welcomed into their community has been living a lie. Tom is the most devastated of all. When he hears the truth, it feels like the ground has been ripped out from under him. He thought he knew Isabella, thought he was building a future with her, but now he's left questioning everything. The betrayal cuts deep, and he feels a mix of anger, hurt, and confusion. He can't understand why Isabella didn't trust him enough to tell him the truth, and why she felt the need to hide who she really was. Isabella tries to explain, but her words fall on deaf ears. Tom, feeling completely blindsided, asks her to leave. He needs time to process everything, and right now, all he feels is the pain of her deception. The look in his eyes breaks Isabella's heart, and she realizes just how much she's hurt the man she loves. The villagers, too, begin to distance themselves from Isabella. They feel betrayed, and the warm welcome she once received is replaced by cold shoulders and whispered conversations. Isabella, who once felt like she had found a home in Willow Creek, now feels like an outcast. The pain of losing the trust of the people she's come to care about is almost unbearable. Isabella spends the next few days in a daze, reeling from the fallout of her revelation. She realizes that in her quest to find true love and a simpler life, she ended up losing everything that mattered. She's alone once again, but this time, the loneliness is even more painful because it's the result of her own choices. Despite the overwhelming sadness, Isabella knows she can't run away this time. She spent too long running from her past, from her feelings, from the truth. If she wants any chance of making things right, she has to face the consequences of her actions and try to repair the damage she's done. The chapter ends with Isabella making a difficult decision. She knows that she can't undo the past, but she can try to make amends. She decides to stay in Willow Creek, even if it means facing the anger and disappointment of the people she's come to care about. She's determined to earn back their trust, no matter how long it takes. Most of all, she's determined to win back Tom's heart, even if it means starting from scratch. Isabella knows the road ahead will be long and difficult, but for the first time in a long while, she feels a glimmer of hope. She's no longer hiding, no longer living a lie. And while she's lost much, she still has a chance to rebuild. This time, with honesty and integrity at the core of everything she does. The first few days are the hardest. The villagers, once so warm and welcoming, now greet her with cold stares and whispers behind her back. She's become the talk of the town, and everywhere she goes, she feels the weight of their judgment. It's a painful reminder of how much she's hurt the people she's come to care about. But despite the hostility, Isabella refuses to give up. She starts by reaching out to those she's wronged the most. She apologizes to Mrs. Thompson, the the baker who always treated her like a friend, and to Sophie, who trusted her and welcomed her into the village. Some accept her apology with hesitation, while others are not ready to forgive. Sophie, though hurt, sees the sincerity in Isabella's eyes and decides to give her a second chance. She encourages Isabella to get involved in the community again, suggesting that she volunteer her time to help those in need. Isabella takes Sophie's advice to heart and begins to look for ways to give back to the village. She starts by volunteering at the local school, helping the children with their lessons and organizing activities. She also offers to help Mrs. Thompson at the bakery, learning how to bake and assisting with deliveries. Slowly, Isabella begins to regain the trust of some of the villagers who see that she's genuinely trying to make amends. Despite her progress, the pain of losing Tom weighs heavily on Isabella. He remains distant, avoiding her whenever possible. She misses their conversations, their time spent together, and the easy way they used to connect. She knows that winning back Tom's trust will be the hardest challenge of all. One day, while working in her garden, Isabella is surprised by a visit from Tom. He's been watching her efforts from a distance, and though he's still hurt, he can't help but admire the determination she's shown in trying to make things right. He tells her that he needs more time to process everything, but that he appreciates the changes she's making. Isabella is grateful for the small olive branch and tells Tom that she's willing to wait as long as it takes for him to trust her again. She understands that it's not something that can happen overnight, and she's prepared to prove to him that she's truly changed. As the chapter ends, Isabella begins to feel a glimmer of hope. The road ahead is still long, and there's no guarantee that she'll be able to repair all the damage she's done, but she's finally facing her problems head-on. She's no longer hiding behind lies or wealth. She's living authentically, and for the first time in a long while, she feels like she's on the right path. The villagers begin to notice the change in Isabella. Some are still wary, but others start to see that she's not the person they initially judged her to be. They watch as she dedicates her time and energy to the community, not for recognition or praise, but because she genuinely cares. Slowly, the cold stares and whispers begin to fade, replaced by nods of acknowledgement and even a few warm smiles. Sophie becomes a close friend, and their bond deepens as they spend more time together. Sophie admires Isabella's strength and determination, and she becomes one of her biggest supporters. The two women share their hopes and fears, and Isabella finds comfort in having someone she can confide in. Sophie, in turn, shares her own struggles and dreams, and they become each other's sounding boards. Mrs. Thompson, too, comes to appreciate Isabella's efforts. She sees the sincerity in her actions and begins to treat her more like a daughter than a mere helper. Isabella finds herself looking forward to their daily baking sessions, where they talk about everything from recipes to life lessons. Mrs. Thompson's wisdom and kindness provide Isabella with the guidance she needs as she navigates her new life. Meanwhile, Tom continues to keep his distance, though he's no longer completely avoiding Isabella. He watches her from afar, observing the changes she's making. He sees how she's slowly winning back the trust of the villagers, how she's working hard to prove that she's more than just a wealthy businesswoman pretending to be someone she's not. But despite his admiration for her efforts, Tom is still conflicted. One evening, Tom finds himself standing outside Isabella's cottage, debating whether to knock. He's been wrestling with his feelings for weeks now, torn between the love he once felt for her and the betrayal he can't seem to shake. Finally, he takes a deep breath and knocks on the door. Isabella is surprised but happy to see Tom. They sit on the porch, much like they used to, and talk for the first time in what feels like forever. Tom tells her that he's still hurt and that it will take time for him to fully trust her again. But he also admits that he misses her, that he misses what they had before everything fell apart. Isabella listens quietly, her heart aching with both regret and hope. She tells Tom that she understands and that she's willing to wait as long as it takes for him to feel comfortable with her again. She also apologizes once more, acknowledging the pain she caused and expressing her deep remorse. As they sit together, the tension between them begins to ease, replaced by a tentative sense of connection. It's not the same as before, but it's a start. Tom doesn't stay long, but when he leaves, there's a sense of progress, however small. The chapter ends with Isabella feeling a renewed sense of determination. She knows that rebuilding trust takes time, and she's prepared to keep working at it, one day at a time. The journey is far from over, but for the first time, she feels like there's a real chance of healing the wounds she's caused and finding a way back to the happiness she once had. Her friendship with Tom, though still tentative, is also beginning to heal. They've started spending time together again, though it's different from before. The easy familiarity they once had has been replaced by a careful, measured approach as they navigate the complexities of their relationship. But there's a new depth to their interactions, born out of the hardships they've faced. One day, as Isabella is working in her garden, Tom stops by with a gift, a small wooden box he's made himself, filled with seeds for her garden. It's a simple gesture, but it means the world to Isabella. She thanks him, touched by the thoughtfulness of the gift, and they spend the afternoon planting the seeds together, talking and laughing as they work side by side. It's in these small moments that Isabella begins to feel a glimmer of hope. She knows that they're far from where they once were, but there's a sense of possibility in the air. She's grateful for every step forward, no matter how small, and she's determined to keep moving in the right direction. However, just as things seem to be improving, a new challenge arises that threatens to undo all of Isabella's progress. Word reaches the village that a large development company is planning to buy up land in Willow Creek to build a resort. The news sends shockwaves through the community, as the villagers fear that the development will destroy the peaceful, rural way of life they cherish. The village holds a meeting to discuss the situation, and tensions run high. Many of the villagers are adamantly opposed to the development, fearing that it will bring in outsiders and disrupt their quiet lives. Others, however, see it as an opportunity for economic growth and jobs. Isabella is caught in the middle of the debate. Some villagers, still wary of her past as a wealthy businesswoman, suspect that she might be in favor of the development or even involved in it somehow. Others, who have come to trust her, look to her for guidance, knowing that she has experience dealing with big business. Tom, too, is concerned. He's worried about what the development will mean for the village, but he's also unsure of where Isabella stands on the issue. The uncertainty puts a strain on their budding friendship, and Isabella finds herself once again feeling like an outsider. Determined to prove her loyalty to the village, Isabella decides to take action. She reaches out to contacts in the city to gather information about the development company and their plans. She spends hours researching, determined to find a way to protect Willow Creek from the looming threat. As the chapter ends, Isabella presents her findings to the village at another meeting. She's nervous, knowing that this is a crucial moment, not just for the future of the village, but for her own future in Willow Creek. She's put everything on the line, and now she must wait to see if her efforts will be enough to save the place she's come to love. Isabella explains that the development company's plans may violate several local regulations, particularly those related to environmental protection and historical preservation. She's identified a potential legal loophole that could be used to challenge the company's application for permits. The villagers listen intently, a mixture of hope and skepticism in their eyes. Tom is among those watching closely, his feelings conflicted. He's impressed by Isabella's dedication and resourcefulness, but he's still wary. The memory of her deception lingers, and he can't help but wonder if there's more to her involvement than she's letting on. But as Isabella speaks, he sees the passion and sincerity in her voice, and a part of him begins to trust her again. After Isabella finishes her presentation, the room is silent for a moment before erupting into a flurry of questions and discussions. The villagers debate the merits of her plan, some still hesitant to trust her, while others are eager to take action. Mrs. Thompson and Sophie are among those who voice their support for Isabella, urging the village to come together and fight for their home. Finally, the village council votes to take legal action against the development company, using the loophole Isabella discovered. The decision is met with cheers and applause, but also a sense of nervous anticipation. The battle is far from over, but it's a start, and the villagers know they'll need to stand together if they're going to succeed. In the days that follow, the village unites in a way it hasn't before. Neighbors who barely spoke to each other before now work side by side, organizing petitions, writing letters, and raising funds for legal fees. Isabella throws herself into the effort, coordinating with lawyers and activists, and using her business acumen to help the village navigate the complex legal landscape. Tom and Isabella find themselves working together more closely than ever. Despite the lingering tension between them, they begin to rediscover the connection they once had. They spend long hours discussing strategy, sharing ideas, and encouraging each other. Tom starts to see that Isabella's commitment to the village is genuine, and his trust in her begins to rebuild. As the village's legal challenge gains momentum, the development company responds with a counteroffensive, trying to discredit Isabella and her efforts. They dig into her past, attempting to paint her as an outsider with ulterior motives. The villagers, initially shaken by the accusations, rally around Isabella, defending her against the smear campaign. Isabella is deeply moved by the support she receives from the village. For the first time since her secret was exposed, she feels truly accepted by the community. The trust and loyalty of the villagers give her the strength to keep fighting, even as the pressure mounts. Tom, too, feels a shift in his feelings. As he watches Isabella stand up to the powerful forces threatening their home, he begins to see her not just as the woman he once loved, but as someone who has earned his respect and admiration. The walls he's built around his heart start to crumble, and he begins to open up to the possibility of a future with her again. The chapter ends with the village on the brink of a major legal battle. The stakes are high, but the community is united, and Isabella and Tom find themselves closer than they've been in a long time. There's still much work to be done, but for the first time, there's a real sense of hope that they can save Willow Creek and rebuild their lives together. The courtroom is packed with villagers, lawyers, and representatives from the development company. The atmosphere is tense as the judge calls the court to order. The development company's lawyers present their case first, arguing that their plans will bring much-needed economic growth to the region. They attempt to downplay the environmental and historical concerns, insisting that their project complies with all relevant regulations. When it's the villagers' turn, their lawyer, aided by Isabella, presents a compelling case that highlights the potential harm the development would cause to the environment and the village's heritage. They argue that the company's plans violate local laws and that the community's way of life would be irreparably damaged if the project goes forward. Isabella takes the stand, delivering a passionate testimony about her journey to Willow Creek, her love for the village, and her desire to protect it. She speaks from the heart, sharing how she came to realize that true wealth isn't measured by money or status, but by the relationships and connections we build with others. Her words resonate deeply with the villagers and even with the judge. As the trial progresses, it becomes clear that the development company underestimated the village's resolve. The judge listens carefully to both sides, weighing the evidence and the arguments presented. The tension in the room is palpable as everyone waits for the judge's decision. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the judge delivers the verdict. The development company's plans are denied, and the village of Willow Creek is saved. The courtroom erupts in cheers and applause as the villagers celebrate their hard-won victory. Tears of joy and relief flow freely, and Isabella is overwhelmed with emotion as she realizes that their fight has paid off. In the aftermath of the trial, the village comes together in a celebration of their triumph. The victory has brought them closer than ever, and there's a renewed sense of pride and unity in the community. Isabella is hailed as a hero, not just for her role in the legal battle, but for the way she's transformed herself and earned the trust and respect of the villagers. Tom, who has been by her side throughout the trial, finally opens up to Isabella about his feelings. He tells her that he's seen the real her, the strong, compassionate, and determined woman who's willing to fight for what she believes in. He admits that he's ready to let go of the past and move forward with her, trusting that they can build something even stronger together. Isabella, with tears in her eyes, tells Tom that she's never stopped loving him and that she's ready to start anew. They share a heartfelt embrace, both relieved and overjoyed that they've found their way back to each other. The love they share is now stronger and more honest, built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. As the chapter ends, Isabella and Tom stand hand in hand, looking out over the village they've fought so hard to protect. The future is bright, and they're ready to face it together, knowing that they've both grown and changed for the better. Willow Creek, with its quaint charm and close-knit community, has become not just a place of refuge, but a true home for both of them. The story closes with the promise of a new beginning, a fresh start for Isabella, Tom, and the village of Willow Creek. The trials they've faced have only made them stronger, and they're ready to embrace whatever the future holds together.